Hello, and welcome to How to Mod Star Wars Battlefront 2. Today we're going to be going over mesh importing with the Frost Meshy tool for those who don't have the Frosty Alpha. I'm going to split this video into various parts, including just regular mesh imports, weapon imports, as well as saber imports, and cloth imports, just so you guys can have a general idea of how to do each one, because they're all pretty much the same. They just have slight little things that you have to do, just a little bit differently to make them work. So, the first thing you want to do is obviously get all the software. So you need Frosty Editor, you need Frost Meshy, and you need Blender. I will have links to all of these in the description, so you can easily go and download them yourselves. So once you have all those set up, what you want to do next is go to the Tools tab here in Frosty. Click the Res Chunk Explorer and wait for that to load. The next thing you want to do is you want to find the files for the mesh that you would like to replace. For mine, I'm going to be going with one of Lando's, so I'm going to type Lando in here. I'm going to go to Characters, Hero, Lando, and we're going to go with his Return of the Jedi. Now, all these files are not particularly well organized, as see this one says Lando 01, but it is not the first skin listed in the skin selection menu or appearance selection. It is actually the second one. It goes this one, that one, this one, this one, this one. I know that because I replaced that one and then realized it was the wrong one. So I'm going to be replacing this one. So what you need to do is get these files and export them so that you can use them through Frost Meshy. And the way you want to do that is find the mesh file here. So this should be the mesh set. I'm going to right click on it, go export. And so then you want to have inside your Frost Meshy directory, there'll be a folder called samples. And so what you want to do is create a folder inside there for each mesh that you will be replacing. I already have a whole bunch of these folders for all the meshes that I've replaced, but I'm just going to save over these just to show you exactly what we're going to be doing. So you need that one, and then there is a second file that you need to go along with that. So you want to go into the main folder here, go down to the one that says mesh version of the one that you just exported here. Click that and do the same thing and export it to the same place as the other one that you just exported. Save that. Cool. That is the Frosty side of that done. The next thing you want to do is be in Blender. And so what you want to do is whatever mesh you are going to be using needs to be set up correctly. So it needs to be attached to the skeleton, obviously. It needs to be rigged. That is very important. And the next thing you need to have is a material set up for it. And this little tab here, you just want to add one and call it whatever, and then that's it. You need to have a separate one for every mesh that you will be importing. I'm going to be importing two because the Lando body mesh has two materials that I can use, so I'm going to be using this mesh, and as you can see here, they have two separate materials. The next thing you want to do here is if you look, Frost Meshy has these material slots here, matte hands and matte body. Now in Blender, what you want to do is name your meshes so that Frost Meshy automatically puts them in these slots and does all this for you. So what you can do is click this little drop down and rename this here to whatever one of these you want it to go into. And you do that for both of them, and that's easy. The other thing that you want to make sure of is that your rig, the skeleton here, has these values. Locations of 0, rotation of 90 on the X, and 0 on the Y and Z, and then a scale of uniform 1. And you want both of your meshes to also have these. As you can see here, mine do not. So what I am going to do is click both of them, probably all three of these because this one's wrong. Right click, go to parent and declare parent. And you can see they rotate back down to the ground, which means that it is not rotated correctly. And if your mesh says 90 but isn't working in the game, you can check it this way by doing this, and if it falls on the ground like this, you know it's not rotated properly. And so all you do is go Control A, click rotation, and then just press R, X, and then type 90, and it'll rotate it back to where it's supposed to be. And you can select multiple objects when doing this. I didn't have to apply it for these ones, if you noticed, because it was already 0. What you're doing when applying the rotation is changing that value to 0, so then when you rotate it up to where it's supposed to be, it's 90, and then it's all how it's supposed to be. So the next thing you want to do is select your objects, then shift click your skeleton and armature to form. And then that's it. That's all set up for being exported. Then what we want to do is select your objects for exporting. If you have more than one there, which I do, I have this cloth here, so I don't want to select that. And then we go to export, FBX. I'm going to click this. I need to click selected objects because I have more objects in my scene than I'm exporting. And you also need to click tangent space and then just export. So that's all done. We're done with Blender for now. The next thing you want to do is go into here, click this little select FBX button here, and then navigate to wherever you put your mesh. Mine is in here, and then I click that, open. And as you see, it automatically assigned them in here. So what I was talking about with it automatically assigning these, so it's done that. But the other part that it does is determines these load distance values. And so what that is as you get further and further away from a player, it loads a different one of these, as to not, cause your performance to lag by loading this really high poly version of the model. And so it automatically sets these to what the game has that mesh as. And so then it just makes it a little bit easier. You can set these to whatever you want, as long as they're all not exactly the same, preferably. Then all you do is click convert, and I'll do this. One thing I really like about Frost Meshy is it does all these little quotes here from Star Wars. It's really fun. So that's Frost Meshy. It's done its part for now. You still need to keep it open so that you can click these copy buttons here, and I'll show you what those are for in a second. So the next thing you need to do is import this back into the game. And what you do here is, as you did before when you export it, you right click on the mesh set, and this time you click import, and you want to navigate to your output folder that it has in the Frost Meshy directory, and click the same file, and then just press import, and it will change like this to say that you've imported over, and then you want to do it for the other one as well. So you got to remember it'll have the same name here, it'll just have another underscore mesh at the end, and you want to import the blocks. So that's that. But when importing it, you have to import these as well, these extra loads. And so I like to click it, copy, and then move on to the next one when you mark it like this by changing it. If you just click the copy button, as you can see, it doesn't change. So what you want to do here, after you copy one of these, is paste it into this section here, press enter, it'll find that one, right click, import, and then you have these. Now you can either sort them by size, as you can see, this one here that we are importing is O9EB, which is this one here. Now because we have some that are the same size, because once it gets to a certain point, they all end up being the same size anyway, then you just match that up. Or, instead of selecting it in here, you can paste into this the same number that you pasted up here, and just press open, and it imports the right one. It's just a little bit faster to do it that way. And then just keep doing it until you have finished doing all of them. And we just keep going. This is the longest part, is usually doing this. import wise. Otherwise, the rest of the process usually doesn't take that long unless you're doing a custom mesh, which is what I have here, where you have to do custom textures and such like that. But what we're doing here is just importing the model. So that's it. It's completely imported. I would, after you do, I don't know, sometimes I do it after I import both of these and then save, and then one after every single one of these, but just in case it crashes and you don't have to go back to where you were. But if it does crash when importing one of these, you should just be able to reconvert it and it will be alright. If it keeps crashing, it means there's something wrong with your mesh / rigging and it just won't work. Which then in case you need to go back to your model and try and figure out what's wrong with that. But that's a whole nother tutorial / people asking me questions. So let's move on. So what you want to do next is open the mesh so that you can see that it has changed. So I changed Lando, Return of the Jedi, body. So this one here. And we just gotta wait for it to load because this takes forever. Okay, fix, please. I'm not speeding this up just so you can see how long realistically it takes to load. I don't want to speed it up so then you see the loaded faster version, where you see it load faster and then be like, mine didn't load like that. Alright, well, as you can see here, custom mesh is in the game, so to speak. It has been imported so we can see it in the viewport. Now, this doesn't always mean it's imported correctly, but it means it's in the engine. And so all you would have to do is then import your textures. And if you see here, there is body for these four, and there is hands. And since I imported two things over the material slots, this body that I have, I imported over the body so that we use these textures, and the gun on his back will use this hand texture. And that's it. Not every mesh will have these, so you need to check whether or not it lines up with those. Say if I go with Obi-Wan's body here, he has armor, gloves, cloth, and if I scroll down, down, Obi-Wan's here, he has armor, cloth, gloves, so that's usually how, it works. And that's how you import a custom model. I will launch the game and show you. Okay, well now that we have the game loaded up, all we have to do is go look at the custom mesh that we imported. If I click on it, that's not the right one. What we do is click this one here. And you can see it is successfully imported. At the moment, it doesn't look all that great because it doesn't have the custom textures on it, but that's an easy fix. It doesn't take long. And, well, that is how you import a custom model.
So good to see you.
Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Hello, and welcome to How to Mod Styles Battlefront 2, and this is going to be the cloth mesh importing part of this tutorial. So, we do everything pretty much the same as we did before, but there's a couple of little things that you need to do, mostly with the files that you have to export with Frosty. So, what I'm going to do is open this back up and go to the mesh I want to import over, just like we did before. And it was this one here. So, with cloth, what you have to do is export 4 files. You have cloth wrapping asset, the mesh file, like we did with this one here, the EA cloth wrapping asset here, and then the blocks file. So 2 of the same ones that we did before and 2 new ones. And what you want to do is just export those to where they were, and then so I have a folder here for them. I already have them here, but I'm just going to export them all to show you. And we just go like this. Yes, override, I don't care. And then export that to there. Yes. I know Windows, you don't like that I'm replacing things, but nobody cares. So, that's that. Now, if you are importing, say, instead maybe an arc skirt, or using cloth wrapping from a different cape, so another cape that is styled differently, that you want to flow differently, or it's just generally a different shape, you need to use cloth wrapping from another mesh. And the way you do that is go and find their files for the same sort of thing. So for this one, I'm going to be using Dooku's cloth wrapping. So what you do is go and export exactly the same files into another folder, which I don't seem to have here. Oh, no, there it is. I'm blind. And then all we do is export them exactly the same way. Just like that. And so the next thing we want to do is like the same thing that we did in Blender before, except I'm going to hide these because we don't need them. So cloth is a little bit different. It still has to be rigged, and the best way to do that I find is to get a piece of cloth that's already in Battlefront and just edit it. Don't If you add anything onto it, you have to rig those pieces. Otherwise, you just say sculpt or edit or just change the shape a little, and that's it. So, like in the last part, all we have to do is make sure we have the same values. And last time you saw, I fixed that by applying rotation and then rotating it back up to 90 the way I did before. You can skip back to that if you need to. And so all we're going to do is export this exactly the same way. And well, that's not the right file type. Export that. You see this is selected. Tangent space is selected and import it on this one. And that's exported. So it's exactly the same way out from Blender. So the next thing you want to do in Frost Meshy is select the mesh that you want to replace, open the mesh. You can see here I didn't change this to match with that, so it didn't do it automatically. But then all you have to do is just adjust these. For cloth, it's usually a good idea to go a bit higher than the game ones, because the game ones kind of sets it here and then slowly goes down from there. So I'm going to set these a little bit higher. What was that one? 1.9. So we'll do 1.5, 1.2. That's cool. 900, 500. Let's go with that. So that's cool. The next thing you want to do is select the cloth wrapping for the asset. So if you want to use Vader's cape, Dooku's cape, Arc skirts, Leia's poncho, whatever, click this and then just select the folder that you put all those assets in. So this one here, and click convert, and it'll do this process. If it isn't rigged correctly, usually the generating cloth wrapping will get stuck like around here or over here somewhere, and then the whole thing will crash. Sometimes it will import because it's rigged reasonably well, but you will have like stray vertices all over the place that will do weird things. But anyway, that's the frost meshy part done. The next thing we want to do is import over the mesh, obviously, and that is not how you spell Lando. That is still not correct. I cannot spell. Alright, so then all you want to do is import over these, and for cloth it's only these four files. You don't have to import any loads for these, it's just this. You just import the same files that you did before, that you exported. That's literally it. So we want to go cloth wrapping, mesh set, EA cloth, and the blocks. And then all you want to do to make sure it's already in the game, well, that it's in the right place, is go to wherever the folder is that you imported it over and open it. And as you can see there is the beautiful looking cape. And I already have the textures in here because this is an existing project that I have where I was working on this stuff. So yours will probably look a bit because the textures aren't there. But as you can see, it's there. And then if I launch the game, I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, well now that we have the game loaded up, I shall show you the custom cloth mesh. Oh, that's not the correct skin. There you go. And as you can see here, it is. And it is moving back and forth like a cloth should. And if I go, oh, preview emote,
They will never
see it moves around, just like cloth should.
There's no escape from me.
It's not really easy to see it in here, so let's go. Oh yeah, Camino will work. Right, and then we just select this and go into the game. And as you can see, it moves just like a cloth. Granted, this maybe isn't the best physics to use, but it works well. And there you go. That is how to import a custom cloth into Battlefront. And I shall see you in the next video. Enjoy. Hello, and welcome to How to Mod Star Wars Battlefront 2. Today we're going to be going over how to import blasters. Now the same method for this applies to pretty much every blaster. There might be some that you have to do slightly different things with, and weapon attachments again are another thing because they're rigged to different parts. But we're just going to be going over a basic blaster, which doesn't require much to do at all from the usual method. You're just going to do a little bit of rigging, which is pretty easy. So, as always, we open up the Res Chunk Explorer. Then we're going to go for it's the X8 Night Sniper. Literally every gun will usually it's in gameplay equipment and then subfolder here insert. And so export the usual files into wherever we want them. I have this here. Now some guns have a third person and a first person mesh. When importing for, say, clones, stormtroopers, any character that has a first person view, you need to do both. So that when you are in third person, you see the third person mesh, and when you're in first person, you see the first person mesh. So if you don't do both, when you're in one of those views, you won't see the gun that's been imported. So just be aware of that. Does that? Let me just export this one again because that file seems wrong. Alright, so next thing, Blender. I'm going to import my gun model wherever I decided to check that, which is right here. And when you import things by default into Blender from Frosty, they'll be at a small scale, so all you want to do is, well, it's first import when everything's selected, just type S100 and it'll scale up to where it's supposed to be. Now as you can see here, weapons have a different skeleton from normal meshes, so that is, something that's a bit different. Which one of these, goddammit, which one of these is the right one? What you do have to do with guns is find the highest poly version of them. Well, you have to do this with any mesh that you use, so that you have the right one. Which this is a custom blaster that I made for the 1313 mod that I am working on. It's mostly the the DL44 with a custom barrel on it, just because that's what it looks like in some of the concept art that I saw, so I like the design of it. Now, guns. The rigging itself is pretty easy. You see here the trigger is not where it's supposed to be, but that's because that's where they decided to put it for the game, so that's where it's going to be. I don't think it matters too much the exact positioning of it, but if you have a custom model with a custom trigger and things like that, I would recommend exporting the gun that you're replacing from the game and then just making sure they line up, with the handle and the slot here and the trigger, just so it all looks nice in game. But enough with that. What you do need to check though is the weights. Now, a lot of these guns just have two. They have weapon root, which is the main one. As you can see, it's red here, which means it's completely rigged to that bone. That's literally it. That's the only thing it's rigged to, and it is hard rigged. Whereas you see other colors like this, which means it's rigged a bit lighter. But so you have weapon root and weapon trigger, and that's literally it for most blasters. Weapon attachments have different names, so all you would need to do when replacing one of those weapon attachments is just go into this weight paint view, go into this tab here, and view which vertex group it is weighted to, and then assign it to that. And the easiest way to do that, since most of them are hard rigged like this, because it's a weapon, what you would do is go into edit mode, and then just select the mesh, like so, click on the right one, and just click assign here, and then it will be fully weighted, like that. And that's literally how you set up guns. It's pretty easy. And then you just go through the same export process of making sure it has the right rotation, which this does not. So I'm going to clear parent here. No, let me clear parent. And then see it's in the wrong place. Then we just do this, rotate by 90, and then armature to form it back to the rig. If you have multiple in here like I do, which I can delete this one, you just want to make sure you do it to the right one. Armature to form it like that. Easy. Then it's ready to be sent out into the beautiful world of the game. And you import it literally the same way. And as you can see here, it only has 3, like I talked about in a previous part, that some of them have less. And here you can see it says X underscore, and mine already has that name, so that's easy for me. So then all I'm going to do is export it to this, like so. When exporting things, I always go like this, because then you know when it's done, because sometimes Blender freezes when you're exporting things. Right, so the next thing is to convert it and import it back into the game. Same as we did before. Open it in here, make sure it assigns this, check these just to make sure they're all good, convert it successfully, import. See, you can see this just gets a little bit repetitive. That's why I'm going through it a bit faster, just because I've explained this before. But I just thought I'd go over it again just a little bit, just to make sure that you understand that this is how it works. Because you have no idea how many times I have people ask me, oh, something's wrong with this. And I look at it and go, oh yeah, you didn't do this step. Which is fine, because, if you haven't done it a lot like I have, you just don't know. What the? Did I already do them all? Yes? No? I don't know. Anyway, if you do that, like I just did, all you need to do is just copy and paste these, and it'll show this if you've edited it recently. And that's fine. So I'm just going to do that real quick, which I have, and then I'm going to save. That was probably a bad idea, just in case this doesn't work, and then I just screwed up my project. But anyway, it does have an autosave feature in Frosty. It says like every 5 minutes or something, so that's fine. And then what we're going to do is we're going to check that it is imported into the game, which would be down here. And open that up. Oh, so that is incorrect. What the hell? So that means I didn't import something when I was doing this. So let me just check and import these again. Da, da, da. That usually happens if you have, yeah, if you don't change one of these, it usually does that. If it keeps persisting, usually reconverting will do this. We'll fix it. And put that, and put that, and then let's reopen it. And you can see there it is. Yep. Well, this is good that it didn't work the first time, because I can show you what to do, which is good. You can see the textures are already, all fine for it, because I've imported this before. So you can see here the textures have already been replaced. So now I'm just going to launch the game so you can see. Alright, and now that we have the game all loaded up, all we got to do is navigate to our character. And as you can see there, he is holding a custom weapon. But, what the hell? Nope, okay, it just didn't load in there for a second.
Charging weapons.
And you can see the beautiful gun as in the world. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next part. Hello and welcome again to How to Mod Star Wars Battlefront 2. Today we're going to be going over in this section of the video how to import lightsabers. This is pretty easy. It's almost exactly the same as importing a body mesh, except the fact that you don't need to rig it, which is really useful because it makes them reasonably quick imports. So, same process as all the others. Open your Res Chunk Explorer up here. Go into here and find the saber that you would like to import over. Mine is going to be Luke's. I'm going into the wrong folder. And I'm going to be importing over as Hoth 1. This is Return of the Jedi saber here. And so all we do is export these lovely things. This is the wrong folder. Put it in here. Scroll. Luke Hoth saber. Put it in here. Yes, I know. I know you don't want me to do that, but like it's not up to you. And do that. And then in Blender, literally all you have to do is have a material set up for it and make sure it's in the right place. So what I would do for this is import the saber that you are importing over into Blender, and then line up your custom saber with the top of it. The bottom of it doesn't matter too much, it's just because that's where the blade emits from. I mean, if you really want to, you can edit the blade position, which is a bit of a trial and error, but it's not too difficult. But literally all you need is that. And so all you need is the saber material set up for it, and I think I already named this correctly. Where is my thing? Here I have, so that's going to make it easy. And all I want to do is just export this with obviously selected objects to wherever the hell I want to put this, because it goes there. Alright, and as you can see here it has a 0 load because it doesn't really go any further away from you, so it doesn't really matter if it has more than one. And then all I'm going to go here is there, saber, open it up. Did it not export properly? Let's try that again. Exported, cool. Open it back up. Saber, there we go. Okay, it's just because I don't have it selected properly in Blender. That's easy. And then convert it. Since it has one, it doesn't really take very long. And then all we're going to do is import this onto here. Easy to do. La da 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 da. Easy. Alright, and then all we do is launch the game. Alright, and now that we're in the game, All we're going to do is go to collections, go to our hero here. Oh, there is the boy. And as you can see here, there's a nice custom lightsaber in the game that is different to the others. Now, this is one thing to note with this particular lightsaber is Anakin does not share it. He shares a mesh with someone, can't remember. But Rey, some of Rey's skins share this lightsaber, so you just gotta be aware of that for doing mods and that. So if you have other mods that have Rey replacement lightsabers, it will affect this as well, so you're just going to be kind of aware of that. And that is all the mission porting tutorials. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was helpful. I hope it wasn't boring for you. It was actually really fun to do one of these again, and I will be doing some more soon. Just been busy with some projects, but I will get on to those. I think next... What am I doing? I don't know what the next tutorial I'm going to do. I've been planning to do clone markings for ages, but I haven't been going around to it. But anyway, I'll leave a link in the description for all the software that you need to do all this stuff. I'll put a link to my Discord for modding help. I'll put a link to a website that I've actually set up, which is going to have written tutorials on it. It's going to have links to all the tools on there as well as all my videos that are on this channel. Just as a collective place outside of Discord for people to use if they don't want to jump on Discord. And you know, that's pretty much all the information for you guys that I got at the moment. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you want, like if you want, you know, the usual stuff that YouTubers say, and I shall see you guys in the next video.